Thank you all for being here as we underscore the need for a comprehensive 5-year farm bill. You know, the title of this whole hearing lets us not forget the financial conditions in farm country. I can tell you, as the congressman from the big first district in Kansas, where we raise a lot of wheat, a lot of sorghum, a lot of corn, a lot of beans, getting to be a lot of cotton. The two words I would use to describe the financial condition of the farm economy is concerning and worsening. And I think we all see that. I think that's coming out here today. About a year ago, Chairman Thompson and I hosted a farm bill listening session in the middle of a wheat field, right in the middle of Kansas in my district. We heard from 150 Kansans about their priorities for a farm bill. They were crystal clear that day. We need a farm bill that gives them certainty as they work day in and day out to feed, fuel, and clothe us all. We need a farm bill that addresses record high inflation, risky market volatility, and extreme conditions that we're seeing on farms and ranches in Kansas and in every corner of the country. We need a farm bill that prioritizes farm country and gets input prices back under control. And we need a farm bill that's long enough to provide certainty, yet short enough to adjust and adapt and change with the time, with market conditions, and we need it now. I've often said that my top priority in this farm bill is to protect and strengthen crop insurance. And there'll be those that want to chip away, diminish, weaken it. I think we need to be fortifying it, strengthening it, making it better. In my view, crop insurance is the most successful public-private partnership in the history of the country and is the most cost-effective way to deliver a safe, robust, steady, constant food supply. Incredibly important. A question for you to start with, Mr. Hotchkiss, and thank you for being here. Your voice is really important in these conversations. Please highlight the challenges that you as a lender face when working with producers on ad hoc disaster assistance versus working with producers on more certain programs like crop insurance.
Thank you for the question. The challenge when it's an ad hoc program, like say a hurricane or a derecho, the big buzzword now in weather, and historically, there's been bills passed to provide disaster assistance, but the amount of time it takes to get the money to the end user or to the farmer has just been too long. There are examples that I could share where it's taken up to 2 years in certain parts of the country for that money to get to the producer. And it not only puts them in an extremely tough position, but then they come to their bankers and the bankers are then put in a position to hopefully have assets to leverage, but they're loaning against a revenue source that they aren't really sure how much is coming in. There's a bit of confidence that, okay, I know the legislation passed and there's a bill for so much money to come into to help pay for this disaster, but you don't really know how much is coming to that specific borrower or farmer. And so from my perspective, when you have an ad hoc disaster program, there needs to be timelines set within the legislation that after funding, once it gets to the FSA office, they have so long to start taking apps, so long to process an app, and then so long to write a check. And that time frame needs to be condensed, maybe 4 to 6 months at the outside.
I completely agree. And so as a lender, you don't know how much is coming in.
Yeah, you don't know
when it's coming in.
Exactly.
Other than that, you know everything you need to know, right? I mean, the most important things you don't know. So what do you do?
Versus the other programs, I'll put them all together. You know, if it's crop insurance, you know what that program is and how it's going to pay if this happens.
Yeah.
And so that certainly gives a bank comfort.
Certainty, predictability, incredibly important with all businesses, including our ag producers, who I would argue some of the most sophisticated business people in the entire country, given the risk that they take on and what they do. One more quick question for you, Mr. Caldwell. You know, as a business that relies so heavily on farmers and ranchers, you also have to take steps to manage the risk as margins become tighter for them. Of course, that impacts your business. What are the steps that you take as you're trying to manage risk along with your producers?
So, you know, the one that certainly comes to mind at first, and we talk about, you don't think about maybe that sector being in the finance business, but about a third of our business is probably extended terms, and so with the high interest rates, one thing that happens to us first, we get round one on the cost to carry. Round two, you know, we're trying to figure out how do we cover that increased cost